Okay, I've got a wild story for you. This is news that has recently come out. It's a little old, but it's something that I hadn't noticed and I hadn't heard anybody talking about this story. Current NCAA rules prohibit gambling in college sports along with professional sports. There was a proposal that would allow players and athletic department members to bet on pro sports as early as November 1st of next year. Most of the universities involved in the NCAA have said, no, we don't want that. So I'm interested in how you want to look at this. Now, personally, after listening to people like Michael Francis, now, if you don't know who that is, he is a former member of the Italian mafia, made member, son of a very famous mobster, even had his name used in the movie Goodfellas. He spent time in prison, so he's got all the bona fides being a Italian mobster. He's talked about how you get people involved with organized crime. A lot about how you get involved with organized crime. Now, some of it is fascinating because some of these athletes, because they get competitive. I mean, you take a look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is all about gambling along with sports. He's a competitive person. At heart, he's a competitive person. He's able to pay his debts, of course, but he is a competitive person, and gambling is one of the ways. And I don't know if he's ever bet on sports. I know he's done other kinds of gambling. So it's not unusual for an athlete to get involved with gambling because of that competitive nature of themselves. But at the same time, it is a way for organized crime to get their clutches into somebody. You get to gambling, it becomes an addiction. No matter who you are, you can get in a gambling addiction. And organized crime uses this as a way to get into the clutches or get their hands on these athletes, and they get them in a way so that they shave points and do other things so that the betting can be controlled for their benefit. This is something that I want you to think about. Do you think that college athletes and members of the athletic department should be allowed to bet on sports? Seriously, do you think that they should be allowed to bet on sports? Now, this would only be on professional sports, not on college sports, but still, it could get them in the clutches of people who just don't have their best interests at heart. Now, most of the folks may not even get addicted to gambling. It could be just a fun pastime. Like I hear some of these betting portals and everything talking about this, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Some of the new ways that you can, what bets you can make on sports is interesting. But it's your tax dollars that are funding most of the schools in the NCAA. Most of the schools are public institutions. You are the consumer that buys the products that are advertised. You are the consumer that buys the jerseys and other sports memorabilia. So you also have a financial stake in a college team getting ruined because of a scandal. So we're going to discuss this. This is coming from Yahoo News, Nick Bromberg. So let's get into this. Before we get into the crux of this video, hit like, hit subscribe if you like college sports, because I do college sports, primarily college football, college women's gymnastics, do a little basketball and other sports on occasion, but that's what I do, college. Also, General Robert Neyland, former University of Tennessee head football coach for decades, had 7 maxims to win any game, but they can also help you if you apply them correctly to your life. The second one is play for and make the breaks. When one comes your way, score. That is a maxim that can be also applied to your life. Look for those breaks and take it. NCAA will not allow athletes and staffers to bet on professional sports. The governing body announced Friday that a majority of Division I schools had voted to overturn a recent rule change that would have allowed gambling on professional sports. In early October, the NCAA Division I Administrative Committee approved a proposal that would allow players and athletic department members to bet on pro sports as early as November 1st. Current NCAA rules prohibit gambling on college sports along with professional sports. The committee's proposal was met with immediate pushback, including the SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey voiced his opposition to the rule, and clearly the SEC wasn't alone. In late October, the NCAA announced that the rule wouldn't be implemented until November 22nd at the earliest. In the interim, schools had a 30-day window to vote to rescind the proposal. If two-thirds of D1 schools voted to overturn the new rule, it would be rescinded since the committee did not pass the rule with at least a 75% supermajority. The NCAA did not say in its statement how many schools had voted to overturn the new rule, just that the threshold had been met. As a result of the vote, players and staffers of Division I, Division II, and Division III are still prohibited from betting on all sports. In its statement announcing the change, D1 Administrative Committee Chair and Illinois AD Josh Whitman said rolling back the ban on pro sports betting would allow the NCAA, the conferences, and member schools to focus on protecting the integrity of college games while at the same time encourage healthy habits for student athletes who choose to engage in betting activities on professional sports. The SEC said in its letter to the NCAA that its chancellors were clear and united against the new rule and that the current gambling policy should be addressed via careful refinement. The NCAA's attempt to change rules come as multiple college athletes have been found to have violated the sports gambling ban. On Friday, the NCAA said former Temple player Heisier Miller had placed 39 bets on his team over an 18-month period from 2022 through 2024 and had placed 3 bets against the Owls. So that's an interesting thing. So you, as a tax-paying funder of public institutions, you as a consumer of the products that get advertised for these sports, you as a consumer of the jerseys and memorabilia that fund these sports in the NCAA, what is your take? Do you believe that this is the correct decision? Now, me personally, like I said, I agree with it. Seriously, listen to Michael Francis talk about all of this, and you will get a strong perspective as to why this is bad for the sport. Now, they also gave an example of Heisier Miller. Think about that for a minute. These student athletes are in an early stage of development. Their brain is not fully developed yet. Think about that for a minute. Medically speaking, the brain doesn't fully develop until you're 22, 25, somewhere in there. So if your brain's not fully developed and you're doing stuff like this, could that lead to an addiction? They could be forced into situations in which they're shaving points or doing other things. It makes you wonder. It really does. It makes you wonder what could happen if they allow members of the staff or these student athletes to get into gambling. There are valid reasons why that needs to happen. I can even understand why Pete Rose was banned from the Hall of Fame, even though I disagree with it. I disagree whether Pete Rose should have been banned from the Baseball Hall of Fame. But at the same time, his was a little different situation. These athletes have the ability to change the outcome of a game. They do. That could help organized crime in so many different ways. Even if it's not organized crime necessarily, it could be other individuals. This is a big problem and it needs to be considered. At the same time, I don't think that the NCAA is necessarily in the best position to make rules like this when they are making money off of companies that deal with sports gambling. They do. They make money off of them. I have already stated this before, and I will say it again. You will never see a sports betting group on this unless there would have to be certain standards made, because I have a problem with it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't bet. By no means am I saying that you, as a responsible adult, should not be allowed to gamble. I just, it's against my personal ethics to highlight that or anything like that. So you tell me what you think, though. It's not, I'm giving you the news. I've given you my opinion. What's your opinion on this? This has been Paul with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. Hey, that's my video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And comment. Don't forget that either. Hey, this has been Paul with
Artlist.io.
Redneck Thinker Media. I do sports, I do politics. Hit like, subscribe. And y'all, this has been Paul. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.